taking me on your back the whole game too, you punk.
Yeah, but you gon' feel it, Cooley. I'm telling you, you gon' feel it.
I told you keep that camera running, you might miss something.
We're gonna be in your face and letting you know the real talk.
This is the NFL, which stands for not for long.
Hello.
Tom. I mean, I fell asleep during that Chiefs-Steelers debacle, that Sunday night game. Oh, my God. Such a mess. Yes. And great news for all Chiefs fans, players, everyone involved with the organization. We've got a bye week, so we don't have to watch them not show up for a football game. It was 4 weeks in a row. We get a bye week to see them not show up for a football game. It's good stuff. Tom Brady comes back for Week 5 NFL action. He's done sunbathing naked with his supermodel wife in Rome or Italy, wherever he goes. Noah Gronniger, Clint Switzer, the Not For Long Pro Football Show is here. Two big guests coming at you today. Brodie Croyle, Eddie Kennison, two former Chiefs.
Absolutely. Eddie Kennison, a huge part of those prolific Chiefs offenses in the early 2000s. He was able to resurrect his career here. Two back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in 03 and 04. Yeah. Integral part of that, and it's going to be interesting to talk to him about his career here and kind of some of his charitable endeavors he's got coming up. There's a big 5K coming up on Saturday.
KCWinegala.com if you want to check that out.
We're going to talk to him about that, ask him all the specifics and his time here in Kansas City. And Brodie Croyle as well. You know, he was a third-round pick here in 2006, and due to injuries, his career was cut short. He did have a 7-year career, had a great career at Alabama, came in, and it's going to be great to talk to Brodie about him and what he's doing now.
Bigger than football, exactly, what he's doing now. Bigger than football. I mean, we can talk about his career, the injuries. He didn't live up to potential in the NFL as a third-round pick. A lot of people loved his arm strength, thought he could be something. Unfortunately, the injuries derailed that, but he's doing great things with Big Oak Ranch for young kids down there in Alabama.
Unbelievable.
They come there, I think 150 kids are down there, and
yeah, he and his family have been running this thing.
Girls, yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to ask him about that.
It's his career in
Kansas City and just kind of his process from getting drafted to his quarterback battle with Damon Heward back in 2007, which was depicted on Hard Knocks, up until his injuries and kind of the derailment of his career. But he's a great dude, just a great Southern Alabama laid-back guy, and we're so grateful. Yeah. But before we get to Brodie, you talked about you fell asleep, you could barely wake up to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, and let me tell you something. This Chiefs team's 2-2. Obviously, we saw where they were a year ago. They were 1-3 at this time a year ago. They wound up being 1-5 before they got going. Certainly, it's not curtains for this team, but right now things don't look good. This is the 22nd ranked offense. This is supposed to be a much better offense. With Jerry Maclin, Chris Conley on the outside, you're supposed to get a lot from Tyreek Hill in the slot. Whereas a guy like
Travis Kelce been, I haven't seen much of him.
And Ware and West has been hurt. The running game is
Ware's fumbling, which he hasn't done since he said his high school days. Just Jamal Charles, he's just coming along slowly. Like he's not good enough to get enough snaps in the game. But then in the meaningless fourth quarter, we're giving him the ball against the Steelers when it's wet out.
Not only that, but Dan Le Batard earlier this week referred to quarterback Alex Smith as NFL purgatory, meaning you're good enough to get to 9 wins, and you're not good enough to get any further than that. You're not good enough to win in the Super Bowl to get there with a guy like Alex Smith. So really,
that's what we said before he got here.
It's not heaven, it's not hell, it's purgatory, meaning you're not at the bottom of the barrel. You're just sort of hanging out there in the middle, which is what we've always said about this regime and Alex Smith. Now, last year, a lot of promise was shown. They reeled off 10 straight regular season wins. Coming into this year, a lot of hopes. This was supposed to be a year they take the reins, they take the AFC West. It hasn't happened. It's Denver sitting there at 4-0 with Trevor Siemian or whoever they throw in there at quarterback. It doesn't matter right now. Denver's riding high. And
the Oakland Raiders at 3-1, they're still above the Kansas City Chiefs, who sit at 2-2, and a lot of talk going around about Andy Reid and why his teams aren't showing up at all this entire season. They don't show up in the first quarter, first half, 3 quarters of football games, and just the undisciplined football out there, and just players just mix matching and rookies and just the corners, and it's a mess in that secondary. No pass rush from this team, but we're going to move on with Sean Smack Unfiltered, the great Sean Salisbury. We're talking about undisciplined football players. We mentioned Marcus Peters. We're going to kind of go into more about that with Dez Bryant.
Wide receiver
Odell Beckham
divas.
Jr. Wide receiver divas. We talked about Marcus Peters, but the wide receivers of the divas, Odell Beckham Jr., he's having problems out there. He's being undisciplined. He's taking the focus off the football team, putting him on himself. For more on that, let's go to Sean Salisbury.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm going to talk a little bit about controlling your temper as an athlete. And I love players who play with emotion. I'm speaking to Odell Beckham, which is the topic of conversation. And we could even throw this at Dez Bryant as well. Similar players, hopefully learned similar lessons and will continue to learn. Now, Odell Beckham, I don't want to hear the I confess he did it thing, okay, where it's everybody's fault, the world's against you. And if ever there comes a time when you are not having fun and at your job and playing professional football and picking up that paycheck as a great player and a great talent and would seem to be a pretty damn good kid, then what I suggest is you go apply it with one of the restaurants or go find out a blue-collar worker and find out just how difficult it is for them to get up every day. Wake your ass up, my friend, because this is football. And, yeah, it is a distraction. And when your head coach and your teammates and your quarterback are starting to call it a distraction, maybe you got to take a step back. And emotion is good. I've never met a good football player that didn't play with emotion. But there's a thing called controlled emotion. It's like Steph Curry. Is he going to go out there and get a technical foul every game and say, well, that's just emotion and cost my team? No, that doesn't happen. You're too good a player, one of the faces of the NFL, to be costing your team. So instead of taking that emotion and focusing against everybody else against you when you sneeze, but I do want you to sneeze once near a referee and actually see if you get penalized for it. Bottom line is this. Too good a player. The attitude's got to change. The emotions stay the same, but be under control. Dez Bryant learned that a little and is probably still learning it. And you need to learn it too, way too soon in your career for your own teammates and coaches to be calling you a distraction. So one of the great players in the league, learn this lesson now so 6 years from now, people aren't saying, well, it's easy to trade him now because he's a distraction and costing our team. You're in a tough division, in a tough football conference, in a very, very tough NFL. Emotion's big, but controlled emotion. And great players find a way to funnel that towards helping their team, not hurting their team. I love emotion, but it's got to change, or the New York Giants football team is going to have a lot of decisions to make for a great player. Let's send it back to you guys.
There it is. Odell Beckham, wake up, son, or you're going to be working at one of the local restaurants in New York. That's
he said they have a big decision to make. He's a great football player, but if he's causing all these distractions for the New York Giants and they're not winning games, they may move on from him. That's crazy.
It is crazy, but that's where it's at. And the way more I watch him, the more I don't like this guy. He has one career unbelievable catch against the Cowboys. He brought that in. He's a great player, a lot of skill, but I'm done with these.
23 yards Monday night for him. Yeah, I'm done.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
No room in the NFL for that kind of stuff. He's throwing his helmet against the punting nets, and the balls come back and hitting him in the head. Looks like an idiot with his haircut. Looks like an absolute fool. And that's what
look at me. Look at my hair. Just
get out of here. Yeah. We talked though, but from that to somebody that really has, that's doing great things after his NFL career, and that's Brodie Croyle. We talked about him at the onset, and it's going to be important for us. We want to go ahead and bring him on, right now. And Brodie, first off, welcome to the Not For Long Pro Football Show. How's everything going? I know you're hanging out down there in Alabama doing some great things, and just how's everything going with you, man? It's good to hear from you.
Man, everything's going good. Just down here in Alabama taking care of some kiddos.
Well, Brodie, in 2006, you were drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs in the 3rd round. Herm Edwards is there. He's the new coach. Just kind of take us into your time there, getting drafted, and then in 2007, getting on Hard Knocks. And Trent Green moves on to Miami. He's there in 2006, moves on in 2007. As the snaps are weighted towards Brodie Croyle, he just doesn't. He feels it's your time, and he needs to move on.
Well, I tell you what, man, I'm a huge Herm Edwards fan. Always have been, always will be. Learned a lot from that man, just about being a man. I remember the first meeting I ever walked into. He walked in there and he basically said, I don't care when you're drafted, I don't care how much money you make, I don't care about any of those things. He said, I'm concerned with you Monday through Saturday. Are you being a good man? Are you being a good husband? Are you being a good father? He said, are you being all these different things? He said, I just told you that I think you're pretty special and I wouldn't have drafted you and you wouldn't be on this team. He said, but if I can get those other 6 days right, I know who I'm going to get on Sunday. He said, the measure of a man's success is not how much wealth he acquires, but how he affects those around him in a positive way. And that's something that I'll never forget from him, and just the life lessons that he taught. But, as far as football, I remember going out there the first practice that I ever played was out there as a professional athlete. And we ran a play that I'd run 100 times in my life. And had an in cut with a crosser. And the in cut was covered. So I hit the crosser, first play I ever played, 10, 15-yard game. I'm sitting there going, yeah. And I come back, and the coaches are looking at me. They go, why didn't you let it go? I said, what, let what go? They said, why didn't you let the end cut go? I was like, he was covered. They said, that didn't cover. I said, he was covered. They said, we'll watch it in the film room. So we're watching the film room, and they pull it up, and I go, see, he's covered. They go, kid, that ain't covered up here. Let it fly. And I went, oh, boy. I better hang on as long as I can. These guys are on a different level.
Well, absolutely. And, we're here in Kansas City. We, huge Chiefs fans. We had to see you play a lot of times. And, as you look back at your career, my gosh, you had a 7-year NFL career, which is much more than, most guys coming out of college could ever ask for. Obviously, things didn't go probably to your liking here in Kansas City. It was a rebuild. Herm Edwards came in and totally had to rebuild the offensive line, the receiving core. I mean, Priest Holmes was gone. Had to, Larry Johnson was on his way out. There was just a lot of things as that team was trying to get rebuilt. And of course, you had the injury problems, which I know that just shows you the brutality of this game. And there's no perfect snapshot like your career.
That 200 pounds was not supposed to be meaning to play quarterback in the NFL.
Hey, it happens to 300-pounders too, Brodie. Hey, it happens to 300-pounders too, man. You know what I mean? But you battled back. You came back in 2008 from injuries. You got hurt in the first game, and then came back in week 7 and got hurt again. How hard was that on you mentally, just trying to keep your place here in the NFL, keep your place as a Chief, and then these injuries keep happening?
No, people ask that a lot, and it's very easy to say, it was frustrating, and it was tough, and it was hard, because, it was. And, it's mentally taxing to keep getting up, to keep fighting, to keep going, to keep pursuing, to keep chasing. All those things, they weigh on you a certain amount. But I'll tell you what, man, growing up where I grew up, and growing up with the kids that I saw, and the kids that were my friends, and the kids that were in my wedding, and I'm sitting there, and I remember waking up, and I just tore my ACL, and I'm going, man, why? I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to chase this dream, and I'm finally there, and now I tear my ACL, and now I'm another year behind, and I'm still trying to, and it's just, you can kind of sit there, and you feel sorry for yourself, but I'm sitting there, and I can remember sitting on the rehab table, and I'm sitting there just mad, sad, and hurt, and all the different emotions that you go through. And I can remember a friend of mine that I grew up with, that when I was 5 years old, his dad pulled up, and he pulled up and he got out, and the dad walked up, and he looked at my dad, and he said, you the man in charge? He goes, well, I worked for him. I didn't know if he wanted to shoot the man in charge or not. He said, well, I got a new girlfriend, and she told me I got to pick. Said, it's either her or my boys, so if it's all right with you, I'm going to leave my 3 boys with you. And out they got. And those 3 boys grew up to be my brothers. The youngest was my best friend. And he went through my head, and I went, you know what? That boy's just sitting there, and who is now a grown man, who has made it, who is married, who has children, and he's still just trying to pick up the piece of his life. And I'm sitting here, and I'm whining about a knee that I got to rehab for the next 6 to 8, 10 months. And just where I grew up and the perspective that I got to see on a daily basis, and I didn't have any hard times. There was a lot of unfortunate things that happened, but I wouldn't trade a single moment of it. Do I wish things could have gone different? Absolutely. But if they had of, who would say I'd be sitting where I am right now? So everything happens for a reason, and feel blessed to have had the opportunity to play there.
Yeah, and you played with a great quarterback in Chiefs history, Trent Green, in your first year, 2006. What did you learn from him in training camp? And then you guys get into week 1. He's got that devastating injury by Robert Gathers coming over the top while Trent Green was trying to slide. Just what did you get from Trent Green, your time here in 2006, and what did you guys think seeing that injury?
Man, Trent Green is just a great man, great human being. I didn't get to spend but 1 year with him, but just Trent and his family, they really took us in that year, and just kind of said, this is no longer a game. This is now your job. This is how you approach it, and just the way that he approached it really meant a lot to me. It really meant a lot to I guess my approach to the game. But man, he was special. I mean, he could see things and anticipate things that you just can't teach, and that's what made him so great. But man, he was as tough as nails, and to see that guy that I respected so much and that was as tough as anybody that I knew get hit on opening day like that and get knocked out cold, it'll wake you up. That'll make you go, you know what? This is serious business here, and these are grown men that are getting paid to hit you and to make it hurt, and just can't say enough good things about Trent though.
Well, as we went into 07 and 2007, you had your best year as a Chief. I mean, you were going in kind of battling with Damon Heward as Trent Green moved on. I mean, we saw the drama all unfold on Hard Knocks. The first year it came back to HBO. This 07 Chiefs are there, you and your wife, who I believe you guys hadn't been married long at that point, but what was that experience like, kind of having Hard Knocks and filming all that, and you had your wife, you had the quarterback battle, and just kind of all the drama. I think Dwayne Bowe duct taped to the goalposts and everything else. That was good times.
Yes, it was. I'll tell you what, it'll make you go. I don't know how these people do reality TV shows on a daily, weekly, yearly basis. Because, man, I'm a private person at heart, and I'm from the sticks of Alabama. And I didn't particularly like just having a camera follow me all over the place, and my wife's kind of the same way. But, it's fun to be able to look back at it now and be able to kind of relive and replay, some of the fun times of your life. But it was fun.
Well, Brodie, I tell you what, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming on talking with us. What a perspective, and I hope everybody and guys that they do, here at the Big Oak Ranch, we want to send everyone there. It's bigoak.org. You can make a donation. I mean, you can do something as simple as just saying a prayer for these kids that are in this situation. There's donations. The link's available. Brodie, we just want to make sure we can support everything you guys are doing, because some of the stories you just told us, literally, just tear-jerking. I just can't respect what you guys are doing enough. We hope people come and help, and that's the website, bigoak.org, right? That's how they can get a hold of you.
Well, thank you. And anybody, if y'all ever make it your way down to Alabama, stop by and see us. Appreciate y'all having me on, and y'all have a good one.
Hey, absolutely. Roll Tide and go Chiefs, and we'll talk to you soon, Brodie. We appreciate it.
Sounds good. Y'all take care.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. And a huge thanks to Brodie Croyle, doing great things after his career. I mean, yeah, he had the injuries, but just that Big Oak Ranch, some of those stories, kind of tear-jerkers, getting caught in the throat, but he's doing great things.
He really is, and he said it himself. He said 200-pound players weren't meant to play in the NFL. He talked about his injuries, kind of made light of it, which was good to hear. I mean, he's obviously accepted the fact that, hey, he got to play 7 years, made money, got out. He's got a family. He's got 2 sons. He gets to watch, Alabama games from his home, Chiefs
Some
games.
people are meant for bigger things, like he's doing right now.
Absolutely,
yeah.
and thanks for that. And, as we move on, as we go into the next week of games, Chiefs are on a bye week. A game that intrigues me is going to be Denver hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan with 500 yards passing last week, and then you had Julio Jones with a game of his career, 300 yards receiving. The Falcons look like they have something on offense. They're going to Denver, and again, I'm waiting for this Denver team to fall off the wagon, so to speak. Is this the week? Is this Atlanta team? Maybe I'm just not quite sure what they have here, and offensively looks great. Matty Ice maybe getting back some of that swagger.
Yeah. I'm still not sold on the Falcons. They're going to have to prove it to me over an entire season. The Panthers are falling off the map. You don't know if that's a great quality win right now because they're losing to pretty much everybody they face on their schedule. But this Atlanta Falcons team going to Denver, if this was in the Dome, maybe I might think about it. It might be closer, but going to Denver, this is just an impossible matchup for them. That secondary is playing better than they were last year. That pass rush is better than they were playing last year.
Shane Ray just stepping in for DeMarcus Ware, who's out indefinitely, and the Stingray is playing great. He's probably the next the next big thing, a defensive end for the Broncos.
He is, and that offense,
outside linebacker.
And they're playing better at quarterback than they were last year. Peyton Manning was struggling, just kept thinking he was the old Peyton Manning. He hadn't found himself yet, and just these quarterbacks, whether it's Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian, they're not turning the ball over, and that's all they want from their offense because that defense, believe it or not, is playing at a better level than they were this time last year. It's crazy.
Our good friend Abby Sincox is heading to Cleveland because she wants to check out this Tom Brady's return game at Cleveland Browns Stadium. The Browns are hapless. They absolutely offer nothing. The Patriots, though, obviously were dominated. They did not play well in a loss at home to Buffalo.
16-0. First shutout in 20-something years.
Is there anything alarming about that, or you just say, hey, Brady's back, this thing's going to keep rolling? I think that's the case, and Abby's going to be in for a treat as her boyfriend and my man crush, Tom Brady, return. And I think they're going to get, obviously, take care of Cleveland here. But
yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think that Buffalo Bills thing, they made that quarterback into a passer. They just took LeGarrette Blount out of the game. Any rushing attack, it was just over. Jacoby Brissett, they said, throw the ball, beat us down the field, and he couldn't do it just all day long.
Was it a throwaway game for New England? Like, you win this.
They were already 3-0. Everyone was saying if you get to 2-2, you're golden, and they were already at 3-0. If they lose, if they go to 3-1, obviously Bill Belichick isn't going to say it's a throwaway game. He's not going to give any game away. But huge props to Rex Ryan. He was on the hot seat 2 weeks ago. They come back with 2 big wins against the Cardinals, now the Patriots. So huge props to the Buffalo Bills. Rex Ryan. We'll see what they can do moving forward. But Tom Brady's back, so this division, this conference, maybe this league is back in the Patriots' lap.
Well, with that, we want to go ahead and bring on our final guest of this loaded, not-for-long pro football show.
That
here.
it is.
And we want to go ahead and bring on Eddie Kennison, Chiefs great in the annals of time. Eddie, current resident of Kansas City, man, welcome to the Not For Long show. How are you, my friend? It's good to hear from you.
Oh, I appreciate it, guys. My world is fantastic, man. I woke up this morning feeling great, and everything else after that, man, it's gravy, brother. So life is fantastic.
Well, I mean, and a great career you had. I mean, we were just looking at some of Dante Hall's old highlights, returning punts in Kansas City here, which we remember vividly. But before there was a human joystick, Eddie, there was you returning punts against the likes of Mississippi State and Michigan State. Some of those punt returns looked just like Dante Hall that game against Denver. My God, you were reversing field, catching it at the 1-yard line, which you're not supposed to do, but you were taking it to the house. What a great career you had at LSU. What had to be just a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, Dante Hall was, the best I'd ever seen, as a specialist, as a punt returner, kick returner, and I got the opportunity to grace the field with him and be his teammate. But I did it in high school. I did it in college. I did it my first couple years in the National Football League. But then, it's a young man's game, and young guys come in and they're a lot faster and they're quicker, and they. So that was kind of the deal. I had fun doing it, and it was a joy to be a punt returner, kick returner, man. I absolutely loved it.
Well, what were you hearing kind of going into the draft? You run a 4.28 at your pro day. You're also in the draft with Keyshawn Johnson, Terry Glenn. What were you hearing there before you did get picked 18th overall by the St. Louis Rams?
Yeah, we weren't hearing anything. They keep it secret from everybody, even the guys that are in the draft. And you really don't know anything until your phone rings and they say, hey, we're getting ready to pick you. It was just one of those deals where, the draft was going and I was in it. And I had my fingers crossed and praying, man, that I would get picked by somebody. And thank God St. Louis came along, first round, 18th pick, and brought me in, brother. And that started off my career.
Well, you know what? Of course, here in Kansas City, we had the pleasure of watching you play with those just tremendous offenses, and nobody will ever forget that era of football with Trent Green, Priest Holmes, that offensive line, Tony Richardson, who was just inducted into the Chiefs Hall of Fame a couple weeks ago, which is awesome, and Willie Roaf, Will Shields, Casey Wigman, that great line. What a run that was for you guys. I mean, you had 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons. You kind of resurrected your career here in Kansas City, Eddie. I mean, how important was that for you to get back into football and to be a part of these great offenses?
Well, I got to play with some really talented guys, man, and I got to grace the field with some Hall of Famers, Will Shields, Willie Roaf, and the list will get longer, as guys are continuing to get put into the Hall of Fame, and it was just fantastic to be around. Coach Vermeil did an outstanding job with his personnel, the people that he hired to help coach the players, and the character of players that he had in the locker room. It was second to none. I had never seen anything like that, and I think that helped not just my career, but a lot of guys' career in the way that he conducted his coaching style. It was flawless, man. It was a family-friendly atmosphere, and guys need that, and they want that, and that's what he created. So it was very easy to go to work and work the way we did and play for Dick Vermeil and all of the guys. We had huge success in doing it, and it's because of that, man. We enjoyed being around each other.
Well, you mentioned that family-friendly atmosphere, but in 2003, you guys had a Super Bowl caliber offense that just nobody could stop you guys. But was there ever any finger pointing going on as the season progressed, and in that Colts playoff game in 2003? Anybody pointing at that defense, the poorest defense throughout the year, and it really showed in that Colts game. No punts in that game, and Peyton Manning went up and down the field at ease whenever he wanted.
Yeah, we weren't finger-pointing people. That's not who we were. That's not the way we were built. That's not the way our locker room was. We went on the field as a team, and we lost as a team. You can always have an argument about, what was the weaker part of our team that didn't allow us to move on. But as a teammate and us as a team, no, there's no finger pointing, and there will never be finger pointing. That's just the way we are. I mean, and to this day, we're all still good friends, and when we come back for alumni weekends, those weekends are special because you get to catch up and see the guys you grace the field with, man. So no finger pointing at all.
Well, it's crazy because in this day and age, you see a lot of gaudy stats, a lot of passing records broken. You had Tom Brady break the record. You had Peyton Manning break his record. You had receivers, Randy Moss catching 20 touchdown passes several years ago. But this Chiefs team was different because there was really you and there was really never a solidified number 2 receiver. Obviously, you had Tony Gonzalez, but and Johnny Morton came in at some point. Dante Hall had a little bit of success, but more of a slot receiver. How difficult was that? Just kind of for you as the lone receiver? I mean, of course, we had the great play at Green Bay to win that game in overtime where you just over the top of Mike McKenzie burned him. But was that a lot of pressure on you as being the number 1 guy for 5 or 6 years here in Kansas City? There was never another receiver to sort of compliment you.
Well, I mean, I beg to differ on that statement because Johnny Morton, Dante Hall, those guys, they contributed big time to our receiving corps. And, obviously Tony Gonzalez was, our big tight end. But those guys, they did a great job on the receiver corps in helping our team win. So, we didn't think of, who's the number 1 guy, who's the number. That didn't play in our locker room. Hey guys, let's go on the field, let's contribute, let's try to win and do the things that we know how to do on the football field. So Dante Hall and Johnny Morton did a tremendous job at the receiving corps while we were playing. So I never felt any pressure. I was very comfortable with where we were and how we were playing football. So, those guys were fantastic, and I absolutely enjoyed being around them.
Oh, yeah. I definitely wasn't trying to diminish their roles with the Chiefs because obviously Johnny Morton in 2003, Dante Hall's career came along. It was just there were just different guys over those years, but you were the incumbent. You were the one that was around all that time. And I want to get into the Chiefs today because going into the Chiefs bye week here, and really a lot more questions than answers about this current 2016 Chiefs team. Another team, with Jeremy Maclin as number 1 receiver, we got Chris Conley coming along, but the offense has been inconsistent this year. 22nd in total offense. The defense has struggled at times too. What do you see out of this Chiefs team here, and where do you think this team's going?
Well, we've all seen that the entire team has had a couple weeks where they didn't look so well, but they had a couple times where they looked really well, and so I mean you could say that is it inconsistency or whatever the case may be. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could say. But one thing I know for sure, because I spent time with the team last year during training camp, and I know what type of organization John Dorsey and Andy Reid run. I know the character of guys they're bringing in, and I know what type of style of football that these guys want to play. And Andy Reid, I think the bye week is perfect because Andy will go in and whatever was being coached or whatever they thought would happen to this point, they're going to go in and they're going to, find out what happened, why it happened, and go in and change it and fix it and do some things differently than they did, leading up to the bye week. I know Andy Reid is just not going to sit around and say, this is what it is. No, he's going to go figure it out, and he's going to try to fix it. And I think it's a perfect time for the bye week, and I think our Chiefs will be fine moving forward.
Well, that's great to hear, Eddie, here in Kansas City, because it's not looking great. They haven't shown up a lot, but we wanted to kind of go back to one point earlier in your career when you were with the Denver Broncos. You came to Mike Shanahan and said you were going to retire. You just didn't have a love for the game anymore. You mentioned your wife's complications with her pregnancy, but Mike Shanahan said it wasn't about the family issues. It was about you kind of losing the love for the game and quitting right before one game when you could have quit earlier in the week. You took the repetitions that week. Just kind of what was going on in that whole situation before you joined the Kansas City Chiefs? What is Mike Shanahan right? Was it not about the family issues, or do you take kind of issue with him going and saying that it wasn't about that when it really was, and kind of just his character?
Well, first of all, I never told Mike Shanahan that I wanted to retire, so that's a false statement. And what was going on was with my wife's pregnancy, and I didn't tell him that at that time. I just told him that I wasn't going to play on Sunday, that I couldn't play, and I didn't tell him anything because my wife was in the hospital and she was unconscious. She was in a coma, and I didn't want to bear that burden on him or the team or anything like that. So I didn't say anything. I just told him I wasn't going to play. And then, a couple of days later, they released me from the team because they said that I wasn't committed to my team. And that's kind of how that happened. And that's how I ended up in Kansas City. A week or two later, 10 days later, Dick Vermeil called me and said, "Hey, do you want to be, will you take a visit to Kansas City?" I took a visit to Kansas City, and hey, man, I'm still here, brother. Been enjoying 15 years, almost 16 years here in Kansas City.
Wow, time flies, and Eddie, we're glad that all went down the way it did because we're so glad to have you a part of the community. You do so much wonderful charity work, and I want to get to that before we let you go, of course. Because guys, I want you, if you guys check it out, it is the wine run. It's the Kansas City Wine Gala, and it's teaming up with the American Breast Cancer Foundation. And apparently, while we were on the phone just before we started, we found out the venue has changed. It's going to be at the Riverfront Park and Grand Boulevard in Kansas City. Eddie, what can you tell us here about the Kansas City Wine Gala and this 5K run coming up here on Saturday?
Yeah, so we're teaming up with the American Breast Cancer Foundation. A portion of the sales from the wine tasting and the wine run will go to the ABCF, and it's just one of those deals where we're trying to bring awareness about breast cancer and get people to understand how important it is for everyone to check their breasts, men and women, and it's just another platform that we can use to say, hey, this is some information, raise a few dollars to continue to support, these foundations to try to find a cure and help people understand, what's going on and looking for different symptoms of breast cancer and, just making people aware. And on top of that, we get to exercise and we get to drink a little wine when we're done. So it just kind of all works together. You get exercise, you get knowledge, you get wine. What more fun can you have in one night, man? And we're going to have a live band playing that night, so it's going to be pretty fun. Yeah,
should be nice weather for this event here on Saturday, and Barefoot Wine is sponsoring this thing. KCWinegala.com. That's KCWinegala.com is where you can go and get signed up still. I assume you can still get signed up for this thing and get involved, correct?
Absolutely. And you gave the website, KCWinegala.com, and they can go and get all the information they need, get signed up, for the big run and tasting this Saturday. And I look forward to, seeing everyone there. Make sure that you come by, my table where I'm going to have wine and say hello and let me know that you're there and you heard it on your show. And, it'll be great to know that your listeners, they get signed up and come out and support such a great cause. Absolutely, and that's what it's all about, Eddie. I tell you what, man, we cannot thank you enough for joining us. I tell you what, we got to make this happen one of these days. You got to take us back down to Baton Rouge because we didn't get the full experience, without you there. Because the fans were great. We had our black and gold Mizzou stuff on. They invited us in for some gumbo and jambalaya, which was unbelievable. We got to make it happen with you again someday, man. Take you back to the bayou, buddy. That is fantastic. Yeah, man, we definitely have to do it. I try to make it down to Baton Rouge once or twice a year, and I hadn't been able to make it at all this year yet. But I think I'm gonna go to the Alabama game I think it's November 4th or November 5th. I think I'm gonna make that game.
Well, that'll be crazy. Those fans were nicer to us as Missouri fans. I don't think they're going to be quite as inviting to the people wearing crimson. So.
Well, we're pretty friendly. You know, it's just that kickoff. You know, we turn to tigers. And afterwards, we love on you and we'll feed you again.
Absolutely. Eddie, I'll tell you what, cannot thank you enough for joining us. Best of luck. KCWinegala.com. Guys, everyone go get signed up for the 5K on Saturday. Eddie, thanks so much for joining us, man. Let's catch up again in the future, and best of luck. We'll definitely be in touch, man.
Thanks, Noah. I definitely appreciate it, man, and best of luck to your show as well.
Thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to Eddie Kennison. Obviously, Mike Shanahan is a liar. Just got his story, just telling fibs out there to make himself look better.
I believe that.
He said that Eddie told him he was going to retire. That never happened. So it's good to get the straight truth from Eddie Kennison. Great to have him on. A great Chief. That win against the Green Bay Packers in overtime. That huge game. Just unbelievable to have Eddie on.
So many memories. Yeah. He was the anchor of that receiving core. And, as we move forward and we get ready to head out here, as we look forward to next week, we're going to look to have our buddy George Atkinson, former Raider, join us maybe to talk some Raiders. If he'll answer our phone calls, you never know with George. He's our friend. Yeah. Took him out to dinner last time he was here, but
it was beautiful.
We'll see. Yeah. Hey, but the Raiders are going to be 4-1 because they're going to beat the Chargers at home.
Oh, definitely. That Chargers team's a mess. It'll be close,
Chiefs
like it always is.
Their work cut out for them to not fall below 500. I'll tell you that much. But big thanks to our guests, Brodie Croyle, of course, Sean Salisbury with Sean Smeck Unfiltered, and Eddie Kennison.
Yes.
Tweet us at GASN Sports. Everything's under our Great American Sports Network banner, greatamericansportsnetwork.com.
Yep.
Find it, like it, share it.
We've got the Buffalo Bills,
Dislike button.
Jacksonville Jaguars, Minnesota Vikings in a triple threat match, NFL this week.
We need to be going over these because some of the I just will never see. Just throw that Jacksonville.
Yeah,
this
one's gone. Yeah, I can take this one home.
God.
It's over. They'll never be on the set again. Who knows? Buffalo Bills probably. The Rams have got to falter. Thank you for watching. Great American Sports Network at GSN Sports. We love the interaction. Week 5 NFL. We're out.